Samurai 8, Chapter 17, Kotsugi and Ryu. So another great chapter, and this is like the official start of the next arc of the series, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it's going. We got some new characters introduced, and they're pretty cool, and we'll get into that, of course. We also have some very important exposition dropped on us about the finer details of the power mechanics and how that overall stuff works in this world. Some things that we weren't really privy to before this point. Also, let me mention that the two translations that have been dropped for this chapter are like pretty different, and it's kind of confusing, and they both conflict with each other. I chose to go primarily with the JB translation, which I'll be talking about in this chapter, but I'll do my best to go back and forth and point out the differences, and I'll try to go over the official translation that we get on Sunday in the next review, maybe clear up any of the misconceptions that come out of this chapter, but aside from that, let's get into it. So we're seeing that Hachimaru is still emaciated after using the atmospheric blade from the previous chapter, and in the beginning of this, we're just getting further relationship building between him and Anna, and it's pretty funny. But I just want to go straight into what Daruma starts talking about in regards to Hachimaru. So he says that your gravitational pull is strong. Other Pandora box keys will be drawn to you. I'm sure we'll meet them nearby. So this is very important, and this is going to play into what this overall chapter is about. So we're also finding out the mechanism or the device of how Hachimaru is going to be able to find the other keys to open Pandora's box. And this is also something that we weren't really too sure about before this point. I mean, we had some hints thrown out there, and we just assumed, oh, he's just going to have to go out there and kind of randomly find them, or they randomly find him, or maybe it's a mixture of both, or maybe he has some kind of feeling to it. But it turns out that it's more black and white than that. If Hachimaru takes the Vajrayaksa license key from Daruma, also known as the Kongo Yashisayo key, that piece with the symbol on him that we see connected to Daruma's key, we've seen it a few times now. Apparently, he can just put that in Hachimaru's key, and he can download all of the information. It's kind of like a flash drive in a way, I guess. And once he downloads this, he'll be able to view a lot of information digitally, and this is what we can assume Daruma and the other super powerful samurais are able of viewing as well. But due to Hachimaru's inherent abilities, the gravitational pull that he has, which is exceptionally strong, it's stated. This is, of course, because he is the main character, and this is kind of like a trope with shonen protagonists and everything, but I like that they're trying to quantify it here. So his inherent ability that he has here, along with receiving the license key, is just straight up going to allow him to look at the map and then the other keys to just light up for him. So that's it. He should be able to just see them. It's less of sensing it and feeling. It's more so just literally observing it because you have the ability to do so. And I like that they try to disambiguate this ability from what An can do when she senses the other locker balls. I also like that they reveal that Hachimaru's brothers, the seven skeleton keys, namely Ikaku, also have this ability. So I think this is going to set up how they're going to be able to, run into each other a lot, and it's not just going to be coincidence. Like, they're essentially going to be going to the same place at the same time. So this is going to have a device for them to run into each other and have various battles throughout the series, which I assume is going to happen. I mean, one is literally set up in this chapter, which is pretty cool. But then we're finally getting some confirmation on something that I've talked about so much in these reviews, something that I've speculated, and it turns out that it is true. That the locker balls, but not only those, but also the licenses of the four styles all come from Akala. And it's pretty cool because it's like what I was saying before is that this is very similar to how chakra and ninjutsu started in Naruto. It all came from Kaguya. And here we're seeing this is all coming from Akala, but it's not like magic or supernatural abilities the way that it was with Kaguya. These are just straight up called programs. Like, this is like a technology. Now, granted, there probably is some kind of supernatural aspect to it, but it's less of that and more technological based with this. Like, it's all just iOS. But like this operating system that was invented by Akala, which we can assume he did because it's all coming from him, just straight up is able to control the power of atoms and the gravitational pull created by H particles, and I'll get into that, but I just really like that this is like being quantified. It's not just, oh, this is just internal energy or the atmosphere and the supernatural abilities that are connected to the soul and everything like that we've seen before. It's just like, no, this is more or less like a computer program. created by a godlike being that could control atoms and the gravitational pull. So they say H particles. So this could mean three things. I'm just taking a guess here. So either H particles are something unique to this world and they just exist there, and this is how Kishimoto is quantifying the ability to manipulate atoms, or it's literally like H particle paths, which I guess are like the main constituents of matter and the field and energy and stuff like that, which I'm no expert on. I'm an idiot, so I'm just reciting information that was fed to me. Or it could be the Higgs boson, which I guess is a type of subatomic particle which can occupy the same point in space as each other, unlike matter particles. But I'm an idiot. I shouldn't be talking about this stuff, and I'm probably wrong, but maybe that's what Kishimoto is trying to say here. But regardless, I'm into it. I like it, and I'm sure there's going to be somebody super intelligent who's very educated on this subject in the comments that'll clear this up. Surprisingly enough, there always is somebody in my videos who's able to like clear up mathematics or science and stuff like that for layman's like me. So if you are, feel free, and I'll pin your comment if I see it. But regardless, all of this, the program and the controlling of the atoms and the H particles, this is the mechanism that Akala has given to essentially the universe and living beings within it to be able to become samurais, and that's how they work. That's how the holders work. That's how they can regenerate and manipulate and change and everything. It's because of this ultra cool, complex program that was created by Akala, more or less, through the locker balls and the license keys to the 4 different styles that exist. So then it cuts to the Ushusama style side of things, and we see Ikkaku along with Ata, and it looks like Ata is doing the same exact thing that Daruma plans on doing to Hachimaru by uploading all of the license key data to him, because that's what appears to be happening here, because we see Ikkaku with the Ushusama style license key in his head, along with like the link connected to Ata. So he's downloading everything, and they're trying to get their own plan underway. You know, it's essentially just a mirror to what Daruma and Hachimaru are doing, and it's always kind of been that way all along. Like, we know that Ata is trying to go after Mandala's box, and Daruma and Hachimaru going after Pandora's box, and they're just essentially going about the same methods of trying to get the things open. But also we see Kala appears, who was name dropped for the first time, I believe, in the previous chapter. And this is one of the main differences in the translations here. So when Ata is talking to him, Kala says, "Face them in person next time. Now go," meaning that, of course, he wants Ata to go after them without using a soul incarnate, how he did previously, because he's way more powerful without having to use that, because we just observe him right here in this panel. He has 4 extra souls around him. He has his dragon holder. He has his princess. He has his physical body, you know, all the things that he wasn't using in his first encounter originally. So you can imagine how overwhelming he would be at that point. But in the other translation, it says that Kala is just going to straight up go himself, which I think is a little hyperbolic, way too soon in the story for a character of this magnitude to fight anyone, especially the main characters, because if they could barely even deal with just a wounded, nerfed incarnate of Ata, there's nothing they could do to somebody like Kala, who is like a galaxy buster. I'm just taking a guess here. But regardless, it appears that Ata and Ikkaku are going to set out on their journey to go do whatever they're going to do. You know, eventually it's going to be Mandala's box, but they're definitely going to try to encounter Daruma and Hachimaru along the way, as per the orders they just received. But we're seeing Ata's spaceship holder in action. And we saw, you know, when we originally saw Ata many chapters back, it was kind of like a square, but I guess it's like taking on the shape of this dragon now. And it looks, you know, just like the smaller portion of his holder, but it's more like Shenron now, and this is awesome. You know, similar to what we're seeing with Daruma here. Daruma has his, like, small wolf, smaller holder thing, but his main big holder is the sea turtle. So a very common dynamic here. So then it cuts to this random spaceport place that Daruma stops off at, because he says that they need to get supplies and everything for the journey that they're about to head on. And this is where we're introduced to the 2 new interesting characters in Kotsuga and Ryu. So they're just immediately fascinated by Daruma's sea turtle spaceship holder thing, and they just try to go inside of it And Kotsuga and Ryu are like kind of weird, especially Ryu. Ryu seems to like not be cognizant of anything. He doesn't even know his name. He doesn't really understand anything that's going on. And this is a mystery to us as of right now. Maybe his memory was erased or something, or maybe his key was reset. You know, like maybe somebody stuck a paperclip in it. You know what I mean? Like reset it to factory settings. I don't know. It just seems really weird what's going on with him. He almost seems like he's not like a human or something. Or maybe he was not originally a human and he just recently became one. Or maybe he was a blank vessel or something. Or maybe he just recently became a samurai. But regardless, what I think is going on with these characters is that Ryu, as we see, is a samurai. He has a soul. He has the holder. He has the sword and everything. I'm thinking that he might be one of the first keys that are going to open Pandora's box, because like it was established in the beginning of this chapter, Hachimaru has the gravitational pull, and that he likely will pull the other keys to him along the way of trying to find them intentionally. So this might be the first instance of it, and I'm pretty sure it is, because it was said multiple times and it was laid out there so clearly that I'm thinking that for sure Ryu is going to be one of these keys, and it seems like he might be a villain right now, but I assume that he might become an ally after this point, and, Kotsuga as well. And let's go into this interesting character. So it appears that Kotsuga is a male at first, but I'm thinking that Kotsuga might be a female, or maybe just gender fluid, or maybe just of ambiguous gender, similar to how Nanashi is, but this could also mean that Kotsuga more or less could be Ryu's princess here, because we see that there are two of them. The only thing that they're really missing from the Trinity is the holder, which we might see later on. Or maybe they're trying to go after the sea turtle because they don't have a holder of their own, or maybe they just want the spaceship. Their motive is really unsure at this point, but I think that those two things that I just said are probably what's going on. And we're also seeing Hachimaru's new outfit, which is so dope. I think it's such a good upgrade to what he originally had. Not saying that it wasn't cool or anything. This is just so much better. I love the aesthetic of it. Very contemporary. I love the color scheme. Big fan of black myself, and I like the new glasses device that he has. It like wraps around the back of his head now, as opposed to how it was just sitting on the top of his forehead before. I'm really on board with this, and I think a lot more people are going to be on board with it, more so what they were originally with his outfit and whatnot. But that's pretty much where the chapter is going to end, with Daruma, Hachimaru, and An confronting Ryu and Kotsuga. I think this is more or less going to boil down to like a misunderstanding. Maybe these two need to be put on the right path by Daruma, because they don't really seem to know what they're doing, because even the narration itself says a mysterious pair of idiots appear before them. So I don't think they're going to be like villains. And even though they say like, cut down everyone except the girl, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, they're definitely probably going to fight and clash, but then once they start talking, they're going to realize, oh, okay, Ryu is one of the keys that we need, and Kotsuga is maybe his princess. I don't know. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Let me know what you think about Ryu and Kotsuga, and let me know how wrong I was about the particles and the H particles and the Higgs boson and all that stuff. But if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.